All right, guys, 15.4. So we got handstand push-ups this week. That's going to be the big part of it. Some of you have heard me talk about CrossFit as a sport versus CrossFit as a training methodology. If you're in the open, it's definitely, you're competing, it's a sport. And I think that's what we're going to see this week, is that you have to weigh the risk of taking on a challenge versus not doing it. So for some of you that have lots of reps with your handstand push-ups, go for it, try to kill it. If you're a bit more leery with that movement, certainly we've got to exercise some caution. So this is one of those weeks that make me cringe a little bit as a PT watching people go through it. So let's talk about some safety things when we're talking about the handstand push-up. Let's back up for a second and talk scaled. So scaled is going to be push press. So we're talking about the push press. We've done a lot of talking about that. We know that we want to go butt tight, belly tight. We're exhaling, dropping that rib cage down, trying to maintain that rib cage position as I press. I know that I want my elbow out in front of the bar, and I want my elbow inside of the wrist in that position. And I want to maintain my rib cage position as I drive that bar up and back. If I flip that to a handstand push-up, nothing should change. My rib cage position should stay the same. I still want my hands in front of my face as I go down into that bottom position. So when you're looking at your mechanics for your handstand push-up, think a little easier and go back to that push press. We want the same piece. The concern becomes when we flip up onto the wall and we're facing away from the wall, the tendency is going to be for you to get really arched and extended. Getting into that extended posture where we're reaching way back, we know we don't want to press that way. You don't want to do your handstand push-ups that way either. So you have to be really aggressive about maintaining that ribcage position, that core position, and being leaned against the wall that way puts you at a disadvantage. Coach Somers and the people with gymnastics bodies, they argue that we should wall walk up and be facing the wall so we can stay in a little better hollow position. Unfortunately, that doesn't match for time and speed in CrossFit. So do the best you can to stay tight in position there. Carl Paoli out at the gymnastics WOD people, he's got a great video on techniques and kind of getting into that kipping technique. I highly suggest you watch that before taking on 15.4. A lot of good stuff there. But the only other thing I would say is related to fatigue. You have to be careful to break up those reps as best you can. My other big concern is when we get kind of halfway up the wall, we're trying to come up that handstand and you're completely fatigued. Try not to collapse down onto your head. And certainly if you're going to rest in that bottom position, make sure your neck isn't extended. So keep that neck in a chin pack position when your head is on the floor. You do not want to repeatedly compress your neck while it's extended. That extension is compressing those joint segments, and then you landing on that is not going to help. So make sure that that chin is tucked, spine is as neutral as you can. Manage the fatigue the best you can, and good luck.